My name is Missy Hermes, and I'm currently the chapter regent, but I also serve on a state committee. I am the DAR Museum Outreach Committee chair. I would say that a regent of a local chapter helps to set the agenda for meetings and communicate with the other members what is happening. Our members don't live all in Fergus Falls. Like my sister is a member of the Fergus Falls chapter, but she lives in Texas. I was asked to do programs, so I did a lot of the history programs that were at the chapter meetings, and that's where I got to meet a lot of the members.
You have been duly elected to the office of treasurer of the Fergus Falls chapter, National Society of Daughters of the American Revolution.
Thank you. You may be seated. And when I mentioned to them that my grandmother, who had lived with us growing up, had said that we had an ancestor that had been part of the Revolutionary War, who provided beef to the Army. That is how I became a DAR member.
My name is Julie Kirsch. I am the chapter registrar for the Fergus Falls chapter of the DAR. I help prospective members research their lineage and become members.
Our chapter has an America 250 committee, and our chairperson is named Tina Snell. And Tina suggested that we create a book about each one of our patriots. And so to tell a little bit about them, who was that person that you're connected to that helped during the Revolutionary War? Anybody in any place, whether it's Canada, like I mentioned, or Texas, or some other location, they will submit a write-up on their patriot, and we'll put it together in a book.
To honor and remember our patriot lineage, I think is important because our patriots and the people who came after them, their lives indirectly shaped our lives just through the generations. And documenting the lineage, it's a connection to the past, but it's also for future generations, so that connection is made. For example, my patriot might be 9 generations away from me, but for my granddaughters, my great-granddaughters, and any future women that may be my descendants, it's documented from me to that 9 generations. So it will make it a little easier for them, should they be interested. And I hope they are. At every meeting, we recite the pledge.
I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people.
The Americans' Creed, and we go through the preamble to the Constitution, participating in parades. We have done Vietnam commemorative ceremonies to honor the Vietnam veterans. We have done cleanup at cemeteries. Well, the pillars of the DAR would be historic preservation, education, and patriotism. And everything the DAR does focuses on those areas. Actually, my first patriot was a French-Canadian patriot, and that was most surprising for me. His name was Michel Richard, and he provided support to the American cause in Canada. And this is documented. You have to document your patriot's service. And so I was able to prove that. And once that documentation is proven, you can submit the application. And then it goes to the Washington office, and they have staff genealogists there who will verify everything, every person, name, date, and place on that application to see that it is true. And then you can become a member.
The DAR was officially organized in 1890. And why it was created, well, it's kind of an interesting story. There was a gentleman in the country who decided they would start a similar service organization based on people who had a lineage to a patriot of the Revolutionary War. When women said, that is a great idea, we would like to join too, they were shut out. So 4 women who are considered our founders of our organization said, fine, we'll have our own organization. So that's how the Daughters of the American Revolution got started. One of our members, a woman named Maria Mygett Brown, traced her lineage back to the Revolutionary War. She was one of those early members of the Minnesota State DAR. The state regent asked Maria Mygett Brown if she could please form a chapter in her hometown of Fergus Falls. So in 1894, that's when our chapter was organized. It's a service organization for women who are 18 years of age and older, and one of the requirements is that you need to be able to trace your lineage back to a patriot of the Revolutionary War, someone who helped in a material way with the Revolutionary War. So that could be a soldier, it could be someone who signed a document or voted in a meeting. That is a fascinating aspect of DAR, is finding information about your patriot of the Revolutionary War, what they did, where they lived, what happened to them after the war.
One of my patriots enlisted at the age of not quite 14 in New York. He served for about 18 months. I found this information on his pension application, which was really a fascinating read. And he talked a lot about his family, his moves, and his service, the battles he fought in, and who he served under. There was just a wealth of information in that pension application I was really lucky to find.
So I think it's for anyone interested in genealogy too. We do a lot of work for veterans, even conservation, art, helping new immigrants. All of these things are part of DAR. Other things that they did in Fergus Falls, that monument, those were in honor of George Washington's 100th anniversary. And they had a role in Fergus Falls in changing the name of the street from Bismarck Avenue, which had been a German prince, and getting that name changed to George Washington. Well, and even I love our city hall that is modeled after Independence Hall in Philadelphia. And so in September, DAR chapters are asked to participate in Constitution Week. And so we're asked to honor that every year. And so in Fergus Falls, last year, we invited the American Heritage Girl Troupe that is here locally, and then this year we'll also have the Girl Scouts. So we read the preamble to the Constitution, and then we rang little bells that we gave the girls, and that is what happened back when the Constitution was read for the first time, is that all the church bells in that town rang, and so it's called Bells Across America. This year, we are really excited to be giving an award to the Pelican 4-H. And so this is a group of children, 4-Hers, who have been taking very good care of a historic schoolhouse where they meet for their 4-H meetings.
Lack of funds is the greatest challenge to historic buildings, but community support, and in this case, the support of the Pelican 4-H Club, along with their sweat equity, has kept this unique and cherished building well maintained and useful. We commend the Pelican 4-H Club on their preservation of this uniquely historic community structure, and we hope that the DAR acknowledges their work with a Historic Preservation Award, which would help encourage others to preserve historic buildings here and elsewhere. Sincerely, Kathy M. Ford. So the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution approved our nomination for Pelican 4-H, and so I'd like to ask some of the members of Pelican 4-H to come on up and accept this certificate. Congratulations. Good job.
But this schoolhouse, which was built in 1905, has such an amazing history, and it is in a rural part of the state, of the county, and it would be very easy to just let it fall apart, right? And yet this group of young people and their adult leaders, and I'm hoping the township board as well, see the value in this historic school building.
I didn't, but I was in 4-H. How many of you were in 4-H? There, yeah.
I graduated. I graduated from middle school. I went all 8 grades.
Wow.
Whereabouts? In southwestern Iowa. You didn't raise your hand.
That's right, because I was an inner city Minneapolis girl.
Oh.
Well, I appreciate all of
No rural schools
another
there.
example of the history of this building, connecting it to other parts of Otter Tail County. Right? And he said, too, in this letter, that some of the bricks have writing on them from students who went to school here. So, see if you can find somebody's graffiti from back in 1911 or 1930, something like that.
And have preserved it, managed to keep it, put a new roof on it, keep it painted. I know there's talk, they're redoing the foundation for the building.
Maybe then we could do some fundraising too. Maybe I would say that would be something that we should do. Because this is gonna cost, this is gonna cost $10,000. We gotta redo the electrical, and then there'll have to be an entryway to go to the basement. I'm sure before my time, that's what they had before they put this on, was just like, the fold up kind of an entryway. I suspect that's what they had, so we'll have to do something very similar to that, or build a little entry. That's where they would go. They'd go into the basement. But yeah, that was the fox den. But then the little puppies would run over there, because they would just sit here. And then anybody would walk by. I had 3 4 people. They would stop by to tell me that there's fox. I go, yeah, I know. There's a whole family of them, but they were kind of cute.
That type of effort, which is all volunteer, should be recognized and rewarded, and that's one thing that our chapter does. You realize that historic preservation is good citizenship, but really it is. You're preserving that memory, that history, and it's educating other people about that history and memory too.